Is AI videos getting too terrifying
This video
nowadays?
was sponsored by Rocket Money.
Rocket money?
Do you remember this image? Or rather, I
No.
should say, name one thing in this photo. No matter what part of this picture you look at, there isn't one clear recognizable object or being. We can see what somewhat resembles the head of a black bear, a pillow, or possibly a bag of some kind, and what could be several pieces of different colored plastic bags scattered around different parts of the photo. But there isn't one clearly identifiable thing in this picture, even though the image itself still looks like real life. This makes it really uncomfortable to look at, so much so that when it was originally posted on Twitter in 2019, it immediately went viral, even getting entire articles written about it in mainstream news publications. People are sharing this image around, asking for others to name one thing in it, and no one could. The most popular post on Reddit with this image described it as a simulation for what it's like to have a stroke. Your eyes are working and can see things, but your brain can't make sense of its surroundings, and everything just looks.
I'm gonna try to make sense of something. So, like deer head. This is something of the Jewish religion or faith. Um, this looks like the not anteater, not a bear. God, what is it? It's one of the animals. Bags of candy. I'm just trying to point out things that I can see. I think that's about it. Maybe a chair. Um, maybe something from an oven, like the front of it. But
Looks like jumbled nonsense, no matter how hard you look. This is obviously terrifying, and it's a great story to include with this picture. But it's not true. This wasn't an image constructed by doctors or scientists. In fact, it wasn't even created by a human. This picture is created by Artbreeder, one of the first widely available AI image generators on the internet. Artbreeder works by mixing, or rather breeding, different images together to make a completely new picture. This particular
that's
mysterious
crazy.
photo was just a result of other images being mixed together in a way that just resulted in an incomprehensible mess, and it certainly wasn't the only one. Many Artbreeder photos from this early era of generative art look similarly off-putting, whether they
Definitely
don't make sense
creepy,
at
that's
all
for
like
sure.
that viral picture, or they just have something off about them that makes them hard to look at. Over time though, AI image generation would improve. At the turn of the decade, image generators would pop up that could make photos based on user prompts, rather than just remixing existing pictures. The initial versions of image generators like DALL-E, Midjourney, and Stable Diffusion were pretty rough around the edges, but progress would be swift. And by the time the first couple of years of the 2020s had passed, AI photo generators had not only left behind the unsettlingly creepy looks they once produced, but they had also penetrated mainstream culture. By 2023, most people who had access to a phone or a computer had at least tried an AI image generator.
It is crazy because what people are doing is as soon as they had access to the AI generator, like all you would see people posting, even from late 2023 into 2024, and then it stopped for a little bit, and then back into 2024 in 25, is everyone posting an AI generated image of something
While
or
these images
themselves.
had gotten better, they had a different problem. They became boring. All of these photos pretty much look the same.
But it's
The
unique.
AI style is almost instantly recognizable, and nowadays it makes you roll your eyes. Novelty may have initially driven much of the
I
interest
understand like the design of it and the cartoon, like the cartoon aesthetic of it, but it is definitely
in these
unique.
generators, with even myself using them fairly heavily in my first couple of videos. But once that initial curiosity wears off, the lack of personality and character in these photos becomes apparent, which makes sense, computers don't have personalities. But the era of uncanny AI art is long from over. In
Yeah,
fact,
it's
in a lot of
progressing.
ways, it's only just begun. On June 12th, 2024, Luma Labs would publicly release their Dream Machine AI, capable of producing video.
Hmm.
And, well,
That's creepy, dude. Real creepy. What the frick? People are actually making this? Oh, what the heck?
I don't know what it is about these AI
What the
generated
heck?
videos, but I just can't look at them. There's always something so off about them. It's not like an, oh, this is creepy kind of feeling. It makes me feel this sense of unnatural dread. And I'm not the only one who feels like this. All over the internet, people are talking about this uneasy feeling caused by viewing AI videos.
Hmm.
And if you're here, you've probably felt it yourself.
Not
Last Halloween, we
necessarily.
explored the witching hour and the idea of 3 a.m. somehow being cursed. For this Halloween, we're going to dive into a completely different type of real life horror. Today, we're going to figure out just why AI generative videos are so unsettling. About a year ago, me and my wife bought a new car, and it happened to come with a satellite radio subscription trial.
A
It
word
seemed
from
like
our
a good deal.
sponsor.
I just had to enter my payment info, and then we get 6 months free to try it out. Well, after those 6 months were up, we started being charged an obscene amount of money per month for what's basically just fancy radio. And when I went to cancel, there wasn't any way to do it online. No, I had to call customer service and be put on hold and transfer between different agents, and long story short, it took me a couple hours to just cancel one measly subscription. Man, if only I had known about Rocket Money, the sponsor of today's video. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you lower bills, cancel subscriptions, and just
Do I skip
generally
this?
manage your money better. You can also grow your savings
I mean,
and
if you
build
want
a
to check out
custom
Rocket
budget,
Money, check
all
out
to
Rocket
keep
Money,
your
but
membership anyways.
I
For
am.
you users. With Rocket Money out today, head to rocketmoney.com/feral or click the link
I
in
don't
the
know if that
description.
link is still valid though. So
While Dream
do
Machine
what
may
you
have brought
will
AI video
with
to
your
the
own
masses, it certainly wasn't the
cautiousness.
first AI video generator. You probably remember that video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. That was generated with an AI called ModelScope in
I
2022.
don't remember that one.
It works like any other AI image or video generator. You type in a prompt and it'll create a 2-second video. The Will Smith clip was a compilation of the same prompt run 10 times, creating a 20-second sequence of clips.
I have no
The
idea about
videos
this.
created by ModelScope are incredibly strange and surreal, but they don't quite give me that uneasy feeling more modern AI video generators give me. Around the same time as ModelScope, Runway launched their AI video generator. I've actually used Runway in my videos before, specifically to depict scenes of the deep future for my far future video. Runway works by either using an existing photo or generating a new image, and then generating a slightly different version of it. It repeats this process several times until you have enough frames for a short video. Back in late 2023 when I used this, it worked okay. While it may have been monumentally clearer and smoother than ModelScope, it was difficult to get much movement in the resulting video, even when you set the movement sliders to the max. Again, the videos I've generated with this AI have never really given me the creeps. If anything, they just look like images with a very small amount of motion in them. But I was using Runway Gen 2. Recently, they've come out with an alpha version of Generation 3, a new and improved video generator made to compete with Luma's Dream Machine. It works much the same. You feed it either an existing or newly generated image, and it will generate subsequent frames. How well does it work?
That's creepy. That's insane. That's an insane transition. No.
Okay, sorry. I promise that's the last time I'm going to do that in this video.
No.
While Gen 2 may have been more underwhelming than creepy, Gen 3 is certainly on par with Dream Machine for its sheer creepiness. But it's also really cool. I wish I had this when I was working on my far future video. There's just so much more motion in these generated videos. Hey, what if we fed it some liminal spaces? Let's take a tour of the backrooms, which isn't actually very interesting anymore since we know now what the rest of the backrooms actually looked like. You remember this basement? This is what the rest of it looks like, supposedly. Pretty liminal. How about the school exit? What if we went outside? Okay, this was always one of my favorite liminal spaces. Let's see what's down the road here. You know what?
It's like
I'm starting
nostalgic,
to realize
right?
something.
This feeling.
These videos aren't creepy at all. I'm not getting any of the dread that I feel when I see those other AI videos. Why is that?
It's a
What
nostalgic
is so
feeling.
different about these AI videos in particular? The answer is pretty simple. These liminal spaces don't have any people in them. The reason why these other AI videos are so creepy is often because of how people are depicted in them. It all comes down to a theory that you've probably already heard of, the uncanny valley. This concept proposes a direct correlation between how similar something is to a human and the sort of emotions it makes us feel. If something doesn't really resemble a human much at all, it's near the back of this chart, and it doesn't really make us feel anything. The more similar it becomes to a human, the more we begin to empathize with it. But this is where things get interesting. the chart isn't completely linear. There's a point where instead of empathizing further, the emotional response instead drastically drops and turns into outright fear and disgust. The idea is that if something's very similar to a human but just slightly off, it evokes a sense of terror. Think things like humanoid robots. If you watch a video about these automatons on YouTube, chances are the comment section will be filled
What does it say?
with robots. If you watch a video about these automatons on YouTube, chances
It's so creepy when you see robots with human faces. I've always thought robots should just look like robots. It would be easier for us to accept them and interact with them. But you want a friendly interface. That's why they do what they do.
filled with people talking
Creepy, and
about
I think
how freaky
I can't
automatons
keep
on
up.
YouTube. Chances are the comment section will be filled with people
Creepy, and I think demonic entities can inhabit them.
talking
Possibly.
about how freaky these things are.
So freaking creepy. Lord Jesus, we need you.
My favorite example of this theory in action from the world of horror comes from the 1978 classic movie Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This movie is about the hidden invasion of Earth by alien entities that kill humans, copy their DNA, and then transform into almost perfect clones of them. These alien duplicates act almost exactly the same, but with minor differences. Their routines and mannerisms subtly diverge. They begin attending meetings with their fellow disguised aliens. They start eating differently. This doesn't evoke a sense of terror, but rather suspicion from those closest to them. However, if someone discovers that these human-like creatures aren't actually human, this movie
That's
absolutely
unsettling.
terrified me. It doesn't have amazing special effects, it's not incredibly tense or anything, but just the concept of people being slowly replaced by almost perfect alien duplicates that act the same but have sinister motives gives me an uncomfortable sense of dread that's a little difficult to describe. Not unlike these latest generation AI videos. This old Will Smith clip with his spaghetti fits somewhere before the uncanny valley in this chart. It looks human, but it's different enough that our brains are confident that what we're looking at is a fabrication.
We
But
can
these
tell
newer
a little bit of
videos
it.
have tumbled off the edge and are now at the rock bottom of this chart.
Even those ones.
They look almost exactly like real footage of humans, but little things tell our brains that something isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's the way the eyes move, or the way the face isn't expressing emotion like an actual human would. But regardless, our brains trying to decide whether or not we're looking at real people gives us that signature sense of terror. The uncanny valley theory may explain why these videos make us so uneasy, but it gets even more unnerving when you start thinking about why there is an uncanny valley in the first place. Why does something that is obviously not human make us feel nothing, while something that looks almost human but not quite makes us feel so creeped out?
Yeah, that's weird.
There's a few explanations.
Weird concept.
Most of them define it as a defense mechanism against different things, whether it's disease, the decay of human identity, or even physical harm. There's a hypothesis out there that the uncanny valley is one of the deepest evolutionary memories we have as humans, left over from a bygone era before the agricultural revolution, tens of thousands of years before the start of any sort of recorded human history. While humans don't normally have predators now,
Were they trying to make an AI video of what Neanderthals were?
we most
If they were,
certainly
that's
did in
crazy.
this era.
That's like
Tigers, lions, wolves, bears,
that. Like
they've
you
all
would have to think
historically made
hard
humans
about
a
what you're
part
going to
of their
describe in
diet.
that.
What if the uncanny valley exists because in this long gone and forgotten age of humanity, there existed a predator that in some way disguised itself as a human to hunt us? It's not unusual for predators to imitate their prey to lure them in for the kill. In fact, this technique even has a name: aggressive mimicry. For example, bird-dropping spiders release chemicals that mimic the mating pheromones
Wait,
released
hold
by
on.
moths.
What do you
For
call it?
example, bird-dropping spiders release chemicals that mimic the mating pheromones released by moths,
Bird dropping spiders.
attracting male members of that species to their web. Some katydids in Australia will mimic the mating calls of cicadas to attract unsuspecting males. Ant-mimicking spiders will disguise themselves as ants, travel along in a herd, and pull off stragglers at the end of the crowd to feed on. Even humans do this to some degree. Hunters mimic bird calls to lure them in, and
I've
we also
seen
use
more
fake
spiders than I
mallards
should.
called duck decoys to lure in unsuspecting ducks. Is it possible that at some ungodly early point in human existence, back before the earth was tamed, maybe even before the days of modern Homo sapiens, There was some predator out there hunting us using mimicry? Maybe it was a different species of primate. Monkeys are well known to feed on other species of monkeys. Maybe it was a different forgotten species of human. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, there were several different human species out there roaming the planet. Maybe it was some animal that has been long extinct that we've never discovered in the modern age.
That would
Either
be
way,
creepy.
the idea of someone pretending to be human to hunt us is an idea that exists in many cultures. The native Algonquins here in Canada have the Wendigo. The native
Wendigo.
Navajo in the US have the Skinwalker.
Skinwalker? Yep.
Japan has a Bakemono. China has a Huli Jing. These legends speak of strange faces in the dark, the cries of women in the forest at night. People who look almost human but have
Wait, the woman who screams in the forest at night. Oh, God. I know what that's called. They didn't say it, but I know what it's called. Oh my God.
one or two things off about them that sets off alarm bells in our heads. Is it possible that these AI videos are awakening some long dormant biological memories? Humans as prey is a really interesting topic.
God, it's
Did you know
unsettling
that
all
not
around.
only do children have many more nightmares than adults, but the content of their nightmares is completely different? While adult nightmares tend to focus on real life scenarios like missing a flight, getting fired, losing a family member, children across all cultures mostly have nightmares about monsters or animals chasing them. Some theorize that these dreams actually serve a now outdated biological purpose to prime reactions to potential predators. Which brings us into our next topic. The other day, I had a lucid dream for the first time in many years. If you don't know what a lucid dream is, it's when you're dreaming but you're aware of it, so you can act consciously and even control the dream world to some extent. I wasn't trying to have a lucid dream, but I had woken up very early and quickly drifted back off to sleep. I just never lost consciousness. The dream world was incredibly vivid. I was in some mutated version of my own house. It all looked familiar, but nothing was really in the same place, and some things just didn't really make sense. While looking around the strange maze, I had a revelation. My dream world very much resembled these AI-generated videos. It all looked real, but when looking at anything closely, none of it made any sense.
What if we are actually AI and we're rediscovering AI right now? Because how he's describing it is as if it's like we are AI. Like it's the Matrix, right? You don't know you're in the Matrix till someone pulls you out. What if we are AI, rediscovering AI, right? We're now being aware. Oh my God, this could be a whole.
You're not normally meant to
a whole
experience a dream
tangent.
consciously, and you're not really supposed to examine anything closely. Is it possible that the reality these AI generators are depicting is similar to the way our brains dream? I'm not the only person to have noticed this. If you look on Reddit, you'll find countless people pondering the same idea. There must be some validity to this dream theory because not all of these unsettling AI videos have people in them, or at least the most unsettling parts of them aren't always the humans being depicted. Objects transforming into other objects, food not cooking the way you expect it to, inconsistent physics, a reality that just doesn't really make sense. It's all very similar to how dreams play out. I have no doubt the uncanny valley plays into this somehow, as this wouldn't be unsettling if it were, say, a cartoon and not photorealistic. This whole idea of reality not functioning the way you expect it to brings up another possible explanation, and it all comes down to how AI actually works. When an AI picture or video generator creates a scene, it may come out looking like the prompt we fed it, but that doesn't mean the AI creating this art actually understands what it's doing. This is a common misconception people have in general about artificial intelligence.
Yeah, you have to
Many
be
people
you have to
using
be very descriptive, I think is what he's trying to get to, and he was probably going to say it. But like if you just say, "Hey, do this, this, this," it's going to do the bare minimum unless you're really descriptive to the tongue, right?
ChatGPT actually assume that there is some sort of god in the machine and they're talking to a real intelligent entity, but it's not true. All ChatGPT does is process language. You feed it a prompt, that prompt goes through millions of computations, each changing it ever so slightly, and what comes out appears to be an intelligent response. But at no point in time has a conscious entity with the ability to think and judge touch that response. This is why ChatGPT often fails at seemingly easy tasks like simple math or riddles. There's no intelligent thought or judgment happening.
In 2 words, if you pass this person in second place, which place are you in? It's second.
Everything that comes out of AI is simply the result of computation. Very advanced, resource-hungry computation, but computation nonetheless. Now, I'm not trying to downplay how impressive AI is as a technical feat, But it's important to keep in mind what these programs are actually doing, which is mostly just processing language. Now, language is extremely contextual, and AI programs don't actually exist in the real world. If we talk about bread, for example, I can tell you about this fluffy food from my own personal experience. An AI can't, though, because it has no personal experience with anything.
True.
Instead, it needs to be trained on books and articles about bread. This is why ChatGPT seemingly knows everything, because for it to actually be able to talk about anything, it requires humans to have written about it.
It needs
And
to
at the end of
learn
the day,
first.
all
It
it's
needs
really
to
doing
learn.
is remixing and regurgitating that info back to us. Mind you, in a very impressive but often unreliable way. Now, if ChatGPT doesn't actually know what it's telling you, do you think that Luma Dream Machine actually understands the infinitely intricate nature of reality? When a human makes an animation, making things realistic and believable is often pretty tricky, and creative decisions need to be made to make it all work. For example, Pixar created Toy Story because toys looked and moved more naturally in computer animation than humans at the time. In Jurassic Park, they often shrouded dinosaurs in darkness to cover up the imperfections of early CGI. Wallace and
I
Gromit
didn't know
omitted
that.
facial features like nostrils and eyelids because it would just look weird. All of
Well,
these
it's
creative
clay,
decisions
by
were
the
made
way.
by human judgment based on actual personal experience in this reality we're all trying to depict. And AI has none of this. No imperfections are ever hidden. In fact, the reason why so many little things seem
like
so
this.
broken in these videos is because the AI creating them has no idea what reality even is. They're just processing a prompt and creating frames based on the existing visual data they've been trained on. They're not thinking about details or physics or how eggs cook or how many arms a person should have. In fact, they're not thinking at all. They're simply spitting out a result based purely on computation. Just like how YouTube is only playing this video because it recommended it to you and you clicked on it. By the way, why don't you go ahead and subscribe there? If you made it this far in the video, you might as well. I don't need to tell you how seeing a
I don't know if I'll
photorealistic but almost
subscribe, but
completely inaccurate depiction of reality could be unsettling. It's almost like peeking into some alternate universe with a different set of natural laws beyond our meager human understanding. But this whole idea brings up another question. Why are AI videos unsettling, but not really AI photos? AI photos are made with the same technology. They also depict photorealistic scenes, oftentimes with minor inconsistencies that give them away as computer-made fabrications. But I've never felt creeped out by an AI-generated photo. Well, other than that one I showed you in the beginning, I guess. I think the answer to this one is
that's
fairly
disturbing.
simple. We don't have to go over any kind of science or philosophy. Videos just simply make for better horror. Take a look at this screenshot.
Eerie?
Is it very scary?
No, eerie.
Maybe a little bit, but it doesn't exactly make you feel very much. But in motion, it
What
suddenly
the
becomes
frick?
one of the most effective horror scenes ever. By the way, go check out this movie Pulse, it's a masterpiece. The reasons behind this effect are fairly obvious. Moving pictures make for higher immersion, heightened empathy, an increased sense of context. It just resembles real life more than a still image. Maybe AI videos creep us out because motion allows us to take a deeper look into these algorithms with their millions of computations trying to replicate reality. Maybe with the videos, the mask has been peeled back ever so slightly, and we don't like what we're seeing underneath.
That's
I have a lot of ideas as to why these videos
this
are
whole
so
thing
creepy,
is just
but they're just that.
mind-blowing
Ideas. I'm
and
just a
disturbing.
YouTuber. I can do a bunch of research, exploration, thinking, but at the end of the day, these are just my uneducated theories. Which is why I want to know what you guys think. Why are these AI videos so unsettling? Is there some angle that I missed here? Let me know in the comments. I don't always respond to everybody, but trust me when I say that I do read every comment I get. Or at least I try to. I usually do unless a video is really blowing up. Alright guys, I hope you have a great Halloween, and I will see you in
Halloween.
November. Have a good night.
This video must have been uploaded this like months ago. Now, AI is definitely disturbing. He makes some good points, right? Like, we find it disturbing because what we perceive as a visual image versus, or like a moving image versus what is just an image, right? Your mind perceives it as, oh, that's scary, terrifying, whatever it is. But what if, and that would be a good what if series. What if we are AI rediscovering AI? This was eerie, creepy, disturbing, not terrifying, but it it hurts my mind a little bit, that's for sure.